One of the other challenges that you're going to run into as you start to bring more and more material into your graph is the difficulty of visual scanning. So you can see that on this article page, which is not a terribly long article, compare this to say like a book page that you might bring into your graph. Even on this page, there's quite a bit of information. So if I were to come back to this page, let's say a month or two or three later, it's not a very easy thing for me to do to take a quick look at this page and tell exactly what it is that I'm looking at. So one thing that I like to do to get around this is to give my blocks a title. And not only does this make the page easier to visually scan, but it serves a couple of other really important benefits as well. Number one, it is a great clarifying exercise. So it really helps me solidify my understanding of what is the core atomic idea of this block that I'm trying to capture. And number two, it aids in search and discoverability later. So let me illustrate this here with a couple of examples. We'll go through maybe two or three of these. So looking at this top one, I think this first sentence does a great job of capturing what this one is about. It's this idea, and I'll go ahead and move that block down and then type that to understand crypto. I'll try to make this as short and punchy as possible. Learn the history of crypto. Okay, so that serves as just a great sort of hook or very shorthand way of capturing what this block is about. What I'm going to do is, what I like to do stylistically here is highlight these, and then I'm going to hit Command B to make them bold. You can also just manually add these asterisks on the outside, and that is the markdown way of making those bold. And then what I'm going to do is take this big idea and I'll indent it under the title and then collapse that down. So now you can start to see how things are getting nicely nested here in our note page. You've got the original highlight, you've got our big idea where we put it into our own words, and then you've got this title here, again, to aid in visual scanning as well as to aid in discoverability, meaning these become very easy things to memorize, or relatively easy things to memorize, for example. And so if you're looking for this block later, you might, again, remember what you titled it, and you might be able to search. And there you go. It's going to come right up in your search results. So think about these as almost a way of doing SEO for yourself within your graph in search engine optimization. Let's do just a couple more examples. So before money, people relied on barter. And in this one, I talked about the double coincidence of wants. So I think in this particular one, example, what I'll do, I'm going to hit Command V to bold this, and I'll say barter and the double and miss this word here that I can never spell, coincidence of wants. And then again, I will nest this underneath the title. And finally, one more example here. Let's say this one is kind of just the general idea of commodity money. It's that there. Okay. You get the idea here. Again, adding titles to your blocks really enhances visual scanning. So if you've got a whole bunch of big ideas on a given page, you give each one of those a title and collapse those all down, then it's very easy to come back to this page later and quickly remember what it is that you wrote on this page. Number two, it is a great clarifying exercise. So it really helps you understand what is the core atomic idea here that I'm trying to convey. It often will unveil to you that you're really trying to maybe convey two or three different ideas in a block, and maybe that block is better divided down, for example. So a great clarifying exercise there. And then finally, again, you can think of this sort of as like a search engine optimization or SEO method for your graph so that these blocks become easier to find through the search bar later on down the road.